Well, good morning. Welcome back. My name is Don K. Preston. This is Morning Musings, and I appreciate you being with me. And by the way, thanks for all the private emails expressing appreciation for this current series that I'm doing on how should we then live. I am addressing the question concerning ethics and eschatology. There are some who say in the New Testament, ethical paranesis, that is, ethical commands and exhortations, were based upon the imminence of the day of the Lord. Romans chapter 13, put off the works of darkness, and let us make no provision for the flesh. Let us walk honestly as in the day. The day is at hand. Well, so the objection is made, if the Lord came in AD 70, then there is no basis for continuing ethical commands, ethical, moral living. And as I've expressed to you, I really believe that that is based upon a faulty understanding of eschatology. One of the passages that to me is so expressive in answering the question, how should we then live, is Galatians chapter 5. Now, we have to keep in mind that Paul was still living in what he called this present evil age. Galatians chapter 1, verse 4. For Paul, this present evil age was the age dominated by Torah. And yet the new covenant age had broken into that old covenant age. There was this transitional age, transitional period going on. While the kingdom had been established in its infancy, they were still awaiting for the full maturation and the manifestation of the sons of God. And here's what I want you to focus on ever so briefly here. Luke chapter 21 tells us that the kingdom would be present in and imminent, if you please, in the events leading up to the fall of Jerusalem in AD 70. When you see all of these things take place, know that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. When you see these things take place, know that your redemption is at hand. Oh, by the way, some try to say the redemption there is just deliverance from the physical horrors. No, sorry. Prior to the fall of Jerusalem, the Christians had already fled. They're in Pella. They've already gotten away physically. But in the events of the fall of Jerusalem, redemption was coming. So, can't be physical deliverance. Well, be that as it may, notice that in the events of the fall of Jerusalem, the kingdom was coming. Okay, now keep this in mind. Kingdom was coming. By the way, it was being delivered when the New Testament was being written. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 28. Wherefore, receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us fear God and serve Him with grace, reverence and grace. So it was being delivered, but it was coming. In Galatians chapter 5, notice what Paul says. This is moral exhortation in light of the coming kingdom. And Paul says the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelries, and the like, of which I tell you, as I told you beforehand, that those who practice such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. Kingdom of God was coming. If you practice these things, Paul said, you will not enter into that kingdom. Now remember, Paul was saying, put those things off and manifest the works of the Spirit as if the day, i.e. the kingdom, had come. Which meant, when the kingdom comes, you're supposed to live this way. How should we then live? By leaving these unrighteous and unholy practices out of our lives. Paul was not contemplating the end of time. Paul was not contemplating the end of history. Paul was not contemplating a time in which men would no longer be contemplated or confronted with temptation, confronted with these things. What he was saying is, put them out of your life because the kingdom is coming and you're going to live this way in the kingdom. Oh, by the way, notice the positive. Here's life in the kingdom. Fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. This is how we should live. The kingdom was coming. The kingdom came. Now that the kingdom has come, the day has come, this is how we should live. Now I'm going to look a little closer at Galatians 5 in my next section to show that life as Paul described it here is indeed the life that is to characterize life in the kingdom once fully established. Because you see, there's a prophetic background to Galatians chapter 5, which speaks eloquently to the establishment of the kingdom in power and glory, the reign of the king in righteousness, and thus answering the question, how should we then live? Hey, thanks for joining me for this morning's morning musings. By the way, I want to remind you, I'm going to be in Virginia Beach, April 19th through the 21st, for a lectureship there at David Curtis's church. Boy, we had a fantastic time there last year. Absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to being there again. I'm going to be having 3 lessons there, and my lessons are going to be focused on John the Baptizer as Elijah, who is to come before the great and the terrible day of the Lord. I want to tell you something. The implications for the reality that John was Elijah, the implications for covenant eschatology are absolutely profound. You don't want to miss those lectures, and boy, there are going to be some other wonderful speakers there. So make your plans to be with me in Virginia Beach, April 19th through the 21st, 2013. Go to Dave Curtis's website, Berean Bible Church, and you'll see more details there. So again, thanks for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. We'll see you on the flip side.